Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are we?
Awesome.
Good, good. How many of you love to network? How many of you, when you hear a networking event, go, "Ah!" Thank you for your honesty. Most people don't like to. Why? Why don't you like to network?
Shy.
Shy, I heard.
Because I don't like to beg for services. If you want my services, come to me.
Okay. Okay. What else? Why do people not like to network? Why do women especially not like to network? Intimidated.
Feels uncomfortable to talk about yourself.
Feels uncomfortable to talk about yourself. All good reasons. Anybody else?
We're not used to approaching strangers.
We're not we don't like to approach strangers, right? That's a scary, scary thing to go up to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm Donna Schwartz. Nice to meet you." It's intimidating. It's scary. All of those things. So, in preparation for today, I did a little experiment last night. I went out on the town and I went to 2 networking events just for you all today. And let me tell you a little bit about each of those events. My night started off first at a wine tasting event with a bunch of engineers, right? So part of my other company, the Hillards Company, we do a lot of brand management and a lot of, we have graphic designers that work for us. We have social media people. And we were working with a liquor company that had put on this great wine tasting event for 250 engineers. I live in Delaware, so we've got DuPont, we've got AstraZeneca, we have scientists coming out of every end. So here I am, one of, I don't know, maybe one of 5 women at this event, amongst this group of 250. Did I mention that they were engineers, right? Right? So what's the stereotype of an engineer? Great. They don't like to talk. They're very shy. They're all looking down. They were all talking to the people that were doing the wine tasting, things like that. And here I am, in all of my glory, going, "Hi, I'm Donna Schwartz. Nice to meet you." Right? The most uncomfortable situation possible. But I thought, hey, good practice for today, and to tell you about how awkward that was and how I got through it. Okay, so we'll talk about that. The second event I went to was called the Blue Jeans Ball. I happened to have been at my local JCC, where I worked for 12 years as the Associate Executive Director. It was an event that I had started 6-7 years ago. The room was filled with 500 people, 90% Jewish, all dancing, having a good time, drinking. They know me from my previous life, knew that I left to do this great consulting job, whatever that means to them. So totally different events, right? So on the first one with this group of engineers, I'm like, wow, this is just crazy. How do I get myself through this? And the second event where I'm completely comfortable, it's an environment, it's a building I've been in 100 times, I went to work there every single day. So the first event, my goal, which of course, the number 1 rule of when you go to networking, have a goal. My goal was to meet 3 people. It was a lot of engineers and a lot of scientists. My goal was to meet 3 people. I looked around the room. I spoke to the person who had owned the company that I was with. I said, "Who amongst this group do I need to meet?" He pointed out a couple of people, and I set my sights on those people. The second event, I had the opportunity to just go and meet every single person and just let it be an opportunity to meet people. So we're going to talk about the process of networking today, and hopefully by the time 2 hours from now, you guys are going to have the tools, the way, and be very comfortable to say, "I'm going to go out and network." All right? Does that sound like a good plan? All right, great. I purposely made a worksheet for you guys today so that you could have this worksheet, and this could be a good opportunity for you to take back to your chapters and actually use this. And I'm more than happy to send you blank copies, things like that, so that you can use it in your own chapters. Because once you've got the answers and you've got the tools, you'll be able to teach this very easily. Am I okay now with got me going on?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, as as I said, I'm going to be very active, very interactive. I'm going to ask for you to participate. I'm going to get you up and moving, things like that. We're going to practice networking. I know people are already going, oh, you know, jitter's got to go. No worries, we're going to make it very comfortable. Yeah.
Will you give us another set for
I will give you-
sets later so we can use it with our
Email?
I will probably email it to you. I have some blank copies. I may have enough for everybody, but yes, definitely.
So I can write
Okay? And my email's at the top, so feel free to connect with me afterwards. All right. So who can give me a good definition of networking? What does networking mean to you?
Making new connections.
They're going to in a few minutes. No worries. Okay, no worries. When you talk, can you just give us your name and your your city?
City and your business.
City and business. Great. What is networking?
Birgit Rosenblatt, Speedy Graphic, Baltimore. It's making new connections.
Connections. Great. Making new connections. Who else?
Johanna Belsky, Cleveland Virtual Schoolhouse. It's getting to know people and what they do.
Getting to know people. Great. Connections. Getting to know people. What else?
Eve Cantor, Shoppers Closet, Passaic, New Jersey. I think it's about giving.
Giving. Good. We're going to talk a lot about that in a little bit. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Tavara Samet, Director of Social Learning Institute. To me, it means discovering resources, perhaps.
Resources, even better. Okay, great. So we've got the connection, we've got the resources, we've got the giving back. Lots of great things. So networking, as you can see, can mean many, many different things. So because it can mean many different things, you have to know what your goal is for every time you are networking, right?
My goals for right now is the opportunity to meet other entrepreneurs and genuinely hear everybody's story, how they got to where they got. I also like to see if I can facilitate and hook up people, that kind of be a matchmaker of sorts.
Great.
And lastly, to promote what I do.
Great, great. What else? What other goals?
So my goals were to build new business and to also get more mid-sized businesses and build confidence. It's been a while since I've been in sales, and so I need to work on my elevator pitch and feel like I'm ready to open the door to those mid-sized clients.
Perfect. What else? What else are your goals?
I just,
Tell me who you are.
my name is Haruki Gross. I'm from Spring Valley, New York. I'm just here to learn how to help the people in my city do what they want to do. I've had a couple of calls with people that are interested in starting to do startup businesses,
Great,
and they call me for help. I just don't know how to guide them.
great, great. So we're going to talk about that. Those are some good goals. Who else is
This is the giving back.
The giving back is a lot. It's a lot about networking.
So I'm Rifki Singer from Muncie. My husband and I own a snack business, primarily popcorn. Sunrise Popcorn is the name of our business. So when we were thinking about goals, I'm thinking about my business. My immediate goals are to find resources and to keep abreast of what's happening in the snack industry, and see how we can make our business grow.
Great, great.
I was going to say also to learn about resources that help other businesses so that I can learn from these individuals.
Perfect, perfect. Anybody else? Share their goals?
So my name is Abby Woolen. My company is called Not Too Shabby. I'm an artist. I sell my work everywhere, but primarily currently, thanks to the JWE, I opened up my own store and locally in Passaic. And I am looking to network with other people and to get them to come into my store and to paint.
Great.
So
think about it. Over time, go for it.
Goldie Silverberg from Baltimore. This is GRS Creatives, an importer and manufacturer of fashion jewelry. My personal goal at this point is how to grow my business to the next level, to make it bigger and make it broader, and to really pull other people along with me who are building their businesses where I've gotten to that they haven't gotten to yet.
Great, great. So you can see, depending on where you are in your business, things are going to change. So some people are looking to make connections at the very beginning. Some people might be looking for investors. Some people are looking to how can I connect other people. So there's lots of different stages, and every time you go out to network or you go out to a different event or you're thinking about networking, you need to make sure that in your head you know what your goal is so that you can make sure that you are meeting those people that might be able to help you further those and get to those goals, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. One of the major things about networking is to be approachable. You want to approach and be approachable. So that's our first A. We've got lots of different A words today. So the first one is about being approachable and approach. Okay? So when you think about going to a networking event, or networking in general, this doesn't have to be an event, this could be anywhere. Where do we network?
Grocery store.
Grocery store. I can't tell you how many people I have met in the line of the grocery store and actually made a great connection. Where else?
Carpool line.
The gym. Gym is a great place. Carpool line. See? Perfect place in the
I
gym.
got a couple of business from the gym.
Yeah. You know what? You're there, you're sweating, you're stuck on the elliptical for 30 minutes, you know? You start talking what's going on. It's a perfect place. Where else?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Great.
Instagram.
So we're going to talk about face-to-face versus online, because both of them are very important in this day and age, but have very separate sort of rules and regulations to each of them. And we're going to specifically spend some time talking about online networking. Where else? Where else have you found some great success in networking? Where else are you networking?
Well, indirectly, just by.
Either way,
I know
however.
I'm saying I work and then people watch and they come over and they ask questions.
So you're at like a local coffee shop or anything like that?
Let's say if I'm in a school or at an organization and people are just passing by, they see something and they just come over.
Perfect.
Volunteering.
Volunteering at a local organization.
School, organization, whatever.
What do you do?
What do I do as a business or what do I do to volunteer?
No, what do you do as a business?
I have a business called Shopper Closet. I help people to maximize their wardrobe.
So do you look for volunteer ways that you can sort of help and within your business?
We've got a lot of people here in the singing.
Right. Let's do that. It's perfect. I feel like everybody can appreciate a little help in that particular area. So
Yeah.
I don't find that I have to be so specific
Right.
in helping people that might have that kind of fashion vacancy in their life. Like,
Gotcha. Perfect. How many of you have joined your local chamber?
I haven't, and I always wonder what's the point? What am I going to do there?
You are going to meet a lot of other entrepreneurs. I can never say that word. This was the hardest thing for me taking this job. I cannot say the word. It's one of the-
Spell it.
I know. I'm better at spelling it than I actually saying it. So you join your local chamber and you meet a ton of people that are in business themselves, right? They are great connectors. They are at all different stages. Even better is getting involved in your chamber, and then if you have something that you can actually speak about and give a talk about, and you're in front of an audience, and there you are. Instant marketing, right? So look for clubs or different things of ways you can actually get your name out and be helpful within that group as well. So those are easy marketing ideas, yeah?
Yeah, I have some, it's not so much marketing, but that taught me a lot about networking and meeting people. So as I said on the video, that I'm involved with Project Inspire.
Right.
And they give this whole talk on how to bagel anybody that's Jewish.
Bagel.
And you that's
What is
what they call
bagel?
it.
Have a bagel. Have a bagel.
That's what I call it, bageling.
talking to another
That's
Jew.
really cool.
Ah, okay.
That's
Really?
And
funny.
bagel
is a verb.
in Muncie, bagel is a verb, right?
Okay.
There are so many Jewish people there. I know I place in Muncie and Spring Valley and Westchester, tons of Jewish people there who are unaffiliated, and they gave us tips and tools, and I just find myself wherever I go, whether it's Lord and Taylor, wherever I am, I'm always finding somebody who makes one little remark about her being Jewish, and I wants to say hi, I'm from the same planet, and that's really, I just find myself meeting new people in the malls and wherever, bakery, wherever I go. And that's been a lot of practice for networks.
So tell me your name again, I'm sorry.
Rifki Singer.
Rifki. So Rifki just made my exact point, which is anywhere and everywhere that you are always networking, right? You think you're off, you are, with your kids schlepping them around from different place to place, you are networking. You are never going to know when that person that you met may be a connection 3 years from now. He may be a connection 5 minutes from now. She may be a connection 10 years from now, but you never know.
I find that simchas is also like an amazing time to, because
At
you
the
always
table
meet people
for a
from the
long
other side. And you're right.
Yeah, you're having those good conversations, right?
So
Networking
that's what
is.
they told us at Project Inspire. They said, they tell us, they guarantee us there's opportunity everywhere.
Right.
It's up to you to find it. And
Absolutely.
if you look, you'll find it all over wherever you are.
Absolutely. How many of you are in business less than 3 years? 3 years? Three, give or take? Well, 3 or 4 years ago, I was in the same boat and I was leaving my full-time job. And I said to myself, am I actually making this leap to say, I'm gonna be a consultant, I'm gonna own my own business on my own? And I made that scary leap right off the cliff. And from that day, I've realized that every connection I've made somewhere along the line has come back. I very rarely do physical marketing and actually put out a piece because all of it is word of mouth. Every job I have gotten has been from the person before, the person after, somebody I met somewhere along the line. I very rarely, and I'm not saying that this is not for your business, but for my business, I have not had to do actual physical, put out a ad or a pamphlet or anything like that to say, here, hire me. Because it's all about word of mouth, and you're doing a good job on that, whatever job it is that you've done, and then the next person refers you. We got a nice compliment, I don't know who said it earlier, but they said my Jewish coach, every time they were looking for a company to do an event for them or a speaker, everyone pointed at them in the right direction, in the direction of my Jewish coach. Why? Because we are constantly out there networking. We have a great reputation. We do a great job at what we do. So those are some things just to keep in mind, that wherever you are, you need to be networking, and you need to just be cognizant of all the people that you're meeting. Okay? So when you're meeting all of these people, I like to do an activity called name storming. Okay, so you've got a great box down here, which I'm actually not going to have you fill in today, but it is a tool for you to think about, whether it's today, tomorrow, in the next few days. Take some time and actually fill out this box. And I suggest on a monthly basis, you take 10 minutes to think about either the people that you've met over the time or the people that you want to meet, and how do you get there. So you literally just put their name, their contact information. How do you know that person? I just met them at the grocery store. I met them at the gym, wherever it is. Think about all the people that you've been meeting in various places. Write some names down. Get some ideas going. Each and every person that you actually meet should be on this list somewhere along the line, because there are connections. Who do you know? Who do they know? Write them down. Actually go through this exercise. It's not something we take the time to do, but if you take the time to actually go through the exercise, look how they can be helpful. How can you be helpful to them? And rank the priority, and go out and meet those people and reach out to them. Okay? So you've got your name storming. How many of you go to events and you've got your business cards, right? And you see it all the time. It's like a drop, you're watching this happen, because I know none of you do it, but everyone pulls out their business card and it's like a drop and run, right? It's the hit you with the business card, and that was the end of the conversation. That is not networking. Me going out and handing out a bunch of business cards to you, that business card goes in the garbage. You've just wasted your 10 cents to make that business card. That doesn't help. You've got to make sure you're actually making the connection with the people. So don't be the drop and run person. Make sure you're making the connection with the people, okay? So we're gonna spend a lot of time here, which is the next A, which is asking great questions, okay? So you've got on the next page some blank, yeah.
Before you go ahead,
Sure.
So this is not something you do after meeting people and you write down notes. This is something, it's more as a goal, like you have some people that you want to meet,
It's both. It actually can be used for both, and it's open for you to interpret.
Like a notebook of people.
I do. I keep a networking notebook, or I just have a list. I have this chart, and I've got pages and pages of it. And if I meet somebody or I get a card from somebody that I want to make remember some things, I keep this as a list. Because you never know when I need somebody in that business, right? So I want to make sure that I have my connections all straight and where I've met them, so that when I reach back out to them, or how I met them. So if I go after an event and I email you and say, hey, it was really great meeting you last night. We didn't have that much time to talk. I'd love to grab a cup of coffee with you. I can point something very specific to what we said. So I try to make notes not only on if they give me their business card, I like to make notes right after an event, or how I met somebody. If it was at the grocery store, when I'm in the car before I drive off, I'll jot a little note about how I met that person and say, just so when I go back to refer it. Because how many of you have, I mean, my purse is like the bottomless pit of business cards that people have given me, right? What do you do with it? So I try to write some notes on it, and then either stick it in what I have, like my networking business card area, or I've got this spreadsheet, and I try to make sure that I'm putting really good names and connections. But it's also, this can be used for people that you want to meet, right? So you can make a list, a whole separate list of people that you want to connect with, that you know 10 people down the line you may not know personally, but you want to connect and find out how, and we'll talk about that when it comes to social media, how we can make those connections, right? Questions? I know you guys we'll catch you. Warming up, no problem. Questions? All right, so the second A. So the first one was about approach and being approachable, right? The second A is about asking great questions. Those of you that said you were nervous about networking, why do you get nervous? Abby, right?
Yeah.
Abby said, sorry, don't.
That's okay.
Abby said that she doesn't know how to approach people, right? Or that's a hard task of making that in, right? What else?
Saying the right thing, hitting it off well.
Hitting it off well. You're not sure how whatever you're going to say is going to come off. What else?
Anxiety issues?
Anxiety, right? All right, so what will take the anxiety out? What takes the anxiety away?
Being prepared.
Being prepared, great. So we're going to take this time and get prepared so that when we practice, when we do this, and networking is just like any other muscle. Are you my gym teacher? Sort of? You're my, you are. So no, I haven't. I'm waiting for her to tell me to drop and give me 50.
I only 50.
Wow, why only 50? She wants more. Good, I can see. You're good at business. So I like the idea of that just, gave me my own anxiety, and I forgot what the question was. Oh, about practicing with muscles, right? So what do you tell your clients about, when something's really hard, what do they have to do?
They have to do a little bit too much.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
a little bit out of their comfort zone.
Out of your comfort zone, right? So this is one of those muscles that the more you practice it, the better you're gonna be at it. It may not be something that you love. Look, I can speak in front of thousands of people. Do I love going to a networking event with 250 scientists, men that I don't know? Can't say that was the place I wanted to be on my Saturday night last night. But you know what? I made 3 great connections. So it was worth it, right? But it's practice, even for somebody like me where I travel across the country and I meet new people, I'm networking all the time, it's still work. I gotta keep practicing and keep toning this muscle. All right, so let's tone this muscle today so that when you leave here, you have the tools to be able to do this and feel comfortable and network with each other. All right, so the second A is all about asking great questions. Take a second on your own to write down your top few questions of the questions that you like to ask when you are meeting somebody, okay? What are the great questions?
What kind of business are you in?
What kind of business are you in? The most common, right?
Yeah.
Okay, check that off.
How long have you been in business?
How long have you been in business? Is how long you've been in business is it a question that's gonna get me a one-word answer?
Yeah.
Oh, is that one of the rules? It can't be a one-answer question.
Well, it's not a rule, but think about it. So ask me the question.
Then the conversation dies.
It's done, right? I've been in business 3 years. Awkward silence. We'll come back.
So we've discussed that a lot of networking doesn't happen in a formal networking place. So
Correct.
my question is usually much broader
Okay.
because I don't assume that they're in business.
Correct.
So my question is usually, what do you do?
Great. What do you do? So similar to what business you're in? Great.
I said, out of all the things you do, what is the thing that you enjoy the most?
What do you enjoy the most? Right? Who doesn't love talking about what I enjoy the most? I love that question. Good job. Wait, tell me, since we've got new people, let's do names as you say your question.
Leora.
Leora.
Yocheved, so, are you from Lakewood?
Yeah.
Okay. I like to ask people, like, what brought them? Like, how did they land at what they're doing?
Great.
I feel like the most important thing in networking is to get them talking. So either you find common ground,
Yeah.
or you listen and show interest to what they're talking about, and then that solidifies a deeper connection.
You have what you said about interest, right? You want to be interested more than interesting, right? Think about that. I want to be interested more than interesting. So in everything we're doing, we always are thinking, what am I going to say next? Try not to do that. It's so hard. You want to focus on whatever the person is saying and try to be there in the moment. That when you actually can do that and have that connection with somebody, there's a difference. As opposed to looking over here of if you're at an event, who's the next person I can connect with, what do I need to say? Oh my gosh, is it really 10:45? Whatever. Looking at all those different things, try to be connecting with that person. So interested, more than interesting. Great. Abby, just thinking.
No, I'm writing it down.
Oh, good, great.
Realizing.
Great, it's one of those great,
Question.
of course, where this is an open question. Go for it.
When you're on the phone and you're doing this, there's no eye contact.
Great.
Can you speak about how you sound
Absolutely.
interested without
Right.
that eye contact?
Right. So when you're on the phone, which a lot of the networking is going to be on the phone, and I keep promising we will get to the social media part, but when you're on the phone, what are those key things? The yeah, asking follow-up questions, things like that to keep that person engaged and realize that you're actually listening to what they say. So a lot of the things that you would use with your kids, I hear, I understand what you're saying. Can you clarify that? Tell me some more about that. It's my favorite line. In business and in supervising staff, tell me more about that. I love that statement. That statement is one of those blanket statements that can be worked with anything. So tell me more about that. I love that statement, my go-to, right? So using those clarifying things, repeating back what they've said, the I hear you, oh, that's great. Those little words, smiling. You can always tell when somebody's smiling on the other end as opposed to being grumpy and all of that, right? We always know when somebody's smiling on the other end.
Don't click your keyboard because people hear that too.
You know what? I agree with that.
If I am, I tell people I'm writing down what you're saying.
Right, so oftentimes I will say, I really want to remember what we're saying. Do you mind if I type this out while we're talking, right? So Melissa and I had multiple conversations. I said, I'm going to take some notes while we're doing this, just so we knew, that I was going to there might be some lag time in the conversation of what we're talking about, right? She and I were having a conversation. I was trying to take good notes, and I was trying to listen at the same time. So those are great rules of making sure that you're clarifying, that you're rephrasing, that you're smiling, and just using the great, those common connectors.
Especially in this day of multitasking, and people think that if there's silence, the clock had been dropped 10 minutes ago.
Absolutely.
Or that you're distracted and you're not really listening.
Absolutely. absolutely. And we are so distracted. I mean, the amount of things that are going on when we're on the phone or we're doing something, there could be thousands. Your kids are running around, you're making something for dinner, your cell phone's going on, the other phone is ringing. There are so many things. So my suggestion is, especially if it's an important networking call, try to
Run into a closet.
whatever you gotta do to minimize those distractions. Or if it's obvious that a distraction is happening, just acknowledge it. Like, I'm so sorry, I know my kid is screaming in the background. If you can give me 1 second, let me take care of that, or can I call you back, call you back in a few minutes. I mean, that happens to everyone. We all, somebody, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, everybody knows a screaming kid. It's hard to mask the noise of someone screaming in the background. So either acknowledge it and say, can you give me 1 second, let me put you on hold, or if you don't think that's going to be good enough, let me see what I can do and call you back.
Another question. What happens if this same scenario happens to the person you're talking to, like the other way around?
Oh, the other way around.
Too bad, been through it.
Yeah, so you know what? Oftentimes I try to acknowledge it because it's uncomfortable for that person also. And I say, look, I hear that your son is crying in the background. Do you need a few minutes? I'm happy to hold, or I'm happy for you. I have the next half an hour free. Would you like to call me back? Who wouldn't love that acknowledgement of like, you know what? I hear you. This might not be the right time.
No, but
Kind
my
of
clients tell me, no, it's fine, but it's not fine. I can't bring my point across.
Right. So that's what you say. You say, I want to give you my full attention. I want to be right here with you. Can you give me 5 minutes? Are you still available for the next 15 minutes or however long? Acknowledge it. I mean, it's the screaming child in the background. You have to.
You have an interruption and you'll call them back.
Right. Either way. I mean, I think just the acknowledgement. People love. The acknowledgement of it. It's uncomfortable. It gives you validation and permission. Where you're probably talking to someone else that's in business, they've had this happen to them, right? Everyone's had this. This is what happens. A lot of us work from home. Things are happening while we are still there.
The human species.
Right, exactly.
It keeps it real.
It keeps it real.
But still, from our part, we have to be considerate, and we can't go into a conversation knowing that you have your two-year-old.
Right. So you want to try to minimize the distractions as much as you possibly can, but life happens, right? Right. All right. Who else? Questions? Names again.
Devorah.
Devorah.
I would say something like, similar to what she said before when we were, how did you get involved in this kind of line of work?
Okay. Great.
Something like that. And I also, actually, if they had any centerpiece or, I would comment on that and ask questions, I guess, open-ended questions about that also.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be necessarily about the business.
Yes, absolutely. Great.
Eve, I got really stuck on this question because I don't feel like there's like any like go-to question that I have. I try really hard to try and make it authentic, whatever the case might be. That like I'm going to the person for either like an introduction is always more comfortable. I always feel a little bit bizarre going up to somebody and just talking to somebody like that I don't know. I always like try to find a friend in the room and then we just kind of branch out. I also get like a little bit of anxiety, like just going up to people randomly and start talking to them, and it doesn't feel comfortable. But
What can I stop you right there?
Yeah. Sure.
What would make it a little bit more comfortable for you?
Whenever it feels like home, like I'm not trying so hard. Like when I feel like that I'm trying so hard, I start to feel like a little uncomfortable. So if somebody is like wearing like a great fashion piece or whatever, like that's like a very easy place for me to go to. Or if I hear something interesting about like what you did, you said like who do I need to meet in the room? Like tell me a little bit about that person. Then I already have something on the person, and then I can go up and talk to them about whatever that person, whatever that person's already involved in, or if we have a mutual friend or something in the room, I just find it much easier that way.
Great.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
Because, let's say when I walk into the room today, like when we go to a specific event, we're all here with the same goal. We all want to network, we're all here, so it's so much easier for me to do that. I find it harder when I'm at the grocery store. I mean, let's say, it happens all the time in Canary. I'll be sitting there at the pizza store and someone will come over to me, oh, you do this and this, and then I'll talk to them about it. But I find that it's harder for me when it's random places
versus at a networking event or an event where there's, I'm in the educational world, so if I'm going to an education event and like everybody, this is what you're here for. So to me, it's like the opposite. Otherwise,
When it takes you off guard. When it takes you off guard.
you not necessarily off guard, but like, we're standing there, goes, what do I want to, is this the right forum? Do I want to go there? Like, is it the right place for her? Is she in that mindset? I want to sound too pushy. So that's where I.
So that again, as we said, networking is everywhere. But there's the organic networking, there's the, forced, here we are in a room, those are different things. So that's where you have to just have all of this arsenal of questions and have them so that if you've got this list of questions that you are very comfortable with and that you have in the back of your head, you've learned them and you know what they are, you have your go-to questions so that there isn't that awkward silence. You know that you can ask, what do you do? What do you enjoy doing? Any of those questions. I mean, if you're in the grocery store and someone's behind you and you say, oh my gosh, I love your necklace. It starts a conversation. You don't know whether that person, that your intention may have just been to say, I love your necklace. So my point not necessarily is that you're networking with everyone, but you're in the grocery store and that starts a conversation and tell me your name, sorry. Goldie says, this is from my business. I make this jewelry. You have are you actually making jewelry?
Yeah, I'm manufacturing.
I hope that every piece of jewelry you're wearing is always.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
So that's for me. That would be an easy way to say, I make this. It's I manufacture jewelry. Yeah, I'm wearing it. I've got jewelry. What Abby's got? Do you do art that you're actually? Is there wearable stuff that you've got going on?
I don't do wearable stuff, but I wear my paint. But
I wear my paint. You do. I actually.
Most people
She put it in our bag.
I know it's beautiful.
I think that just to go off of what you were saying, you're gonna network with different people in different situations. Like when you're in the grocery store, you're not gonna go, hey, so what do you do? You're just not doing that. You're talking to somebody about whatever. I mean, it happens to be I wear my apron everywhere. So when I'm in the grocery store, people are like, oh, you're Abby. Oh, you have a store. Oh, this. So you're able to just network. But most people do not wear aprons. So I think that there's a time and a place for everything, and there's a time and a place for how you speak to people. And I think the hardest part for any of us is not the grocery store. I think the hardest part is when you're in a conference or you're in a situation where you have to actually go up to somebody and say, hi, my name is Abby Wolin, and I'm really interested in what you do. Let's talk about it.
Right.
That, I think, is more challenging to any of us than sitting in a grocery store where you have your
I'm going to sell to you and you're going to sell to me.
Because
You don't want that hard sale. That
Right.
hard sale
Absolutely.
is very
So
difficult.
these are the questions that you want to keep in mind now of what we're going around and saying to say, how do I get that conversation started? Besides saying, hi, I want to sell to you, how do we do that? How do we get to that conversation, right? So let's go quickly and then we'll come back to these questions. Do you have a question? We can keep going. Do you have a question?
No, I actually have, my issue is when I get psyched up, I'm usually kind of shy with strangers, but when I get psyched up and I'm ready and I'm gonna go to somebody to say something about their jewelry or whatever, then I'm ready to continue the conversation. Where I freeze up is where people start that conversation with me, and I'm not ready.
Okay.
And I'll just give a one-word answer and go away now.
Gotcha. Okay, so our next exercise is going to help you. Great.
Charity Growth. I don't do a lot of networking, like in conferences or meetings. I do custom cabinetry. So when I talk to people and try to promote myself, I would say I'm just mostly going to show my interest in what they do.
Great.
Like if I would hear someone who's building or doing construction or a project, I would hear a lot of what they're doing, look at their plans, compliment them on their plans, and then I'll promote myself.
Perfect.
Before they even talk to me, knowing what I'm doing, I'm already knowing what they're doing.
Perfect. Question?
Because I have a similar thing. I'm gonna speak about the business and my mindset thinks about business, my snack business. So I'm gonna say, so what's unique about your product or your business? What's your passion and what's your big thing? What
Passion, unique. Those are great.
What differentiates you from everybody else?
Perfect. Those are great questions. Great. Are you all writing these great questions down so that you have them for your arsenal? Good.
Chava Elgamil, Baltimore. My husband and I have a roofing company and a real estate investment. We do it ourselves and not like investment like that, our own properties that we rent out. And I kind of, networking, I would like, I'm a fixer, like always like looking to like fix things, like not just stuff, I mean like problems.
Yeah.
And so kind of like, I said, like, what is your biggest challenge with your business?
Good.
Kind of like, people approach me, I'm always like, like one problem, I always try to fix it. Sometimes I think I have to like, sometimes just listen, but I'm always like jumping, like my head starts like spinning, like, oh, how can I fix that? How can I fix that? You know, like really fast.
So you're the third A, which is you're adding value, right? So approach and be approachable, ask great questions, and add value is the third A. That's what you're doing. You're adding value to that conversation because how can I help you? That's a relationship builder. Who wouldn't love for somebody to come up to them and say, how can I help you in your business today? Or how can I help you? Or what kind of referrals do you need? You know, we're in the same business. What can I help you get to? How can I fix something for you? I love you. I want to talk to you more.
I'm Goldie. I think I tend to relate to people more on a personal level than on a business level. So I think if I'm meeting new women, I'll ask if they work at home, how do you balance family and business? I like to connect with people on how they're figuring it out.
Right? So you're asking for advice.
Well, yeah, I'll give advice too.
Right. That's a great question because we're all Jewish women. We like to give advice, right? We like to share our experiences. It gets a good conversation going, and who doesn't like somebody asking them for their advice, right? Great questions.
I'm Miriam Gitzel Rosenblatt, I'm Speed Graphic from Baltimore. Just as we were going around about smiling, I just wanted to also say that, and since you said that people can tell when you're smiling, you should smile before you pick up the phone. And I'm also like Chava, and I'd like to fix it. So that was one of my questions about, have you tried this or this method? A question was also like, how can I help you? If someone has done their elevator pitch and maybe they brought up an issue that they're having in their business, or have you met anyone else that can help you with that issue today? Are you looking for any volunteers? Sometimes I see nonprofits come to networking events. What's your greatest passion in your business? And how do you handle X situation?
Perfect. All great questions.
You're getting something out of it also.
Yeah, absolutely.
From that.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you?
Raising Green. Well, initially I thought you were asking about meeting somebody that helped me, so I was thinking more on the way of what brought you here today.
Either way, all of those great. Those are still good questions.
But a lot of the initial conversation or the initial networking is pretty simple if you take the emotion out of it and you just decide to play. And once you just play it, it's a game.
Right.
There's no ramification on the outcome, and you just enjoy that interaction. I have a harder time with the second level of networking.
Right.
The initial is easy.
The initial. What's the second level to you? Of the follow-up of make. Okay.
Keeping it up, yes.
Gotcha. Building that relationship. Because, right, as we said, networking is not about dropping the card and drop and run, because that's not going to build a relationship. It's all about building the relationship and making it work for both of you. So the best networking relationships are those that get taken to the next level of followed up, followed through. You've got your list, and you actually follow through with what they've said, contacted them, friended them on LinkedIn, or connected with them on social media, things like that. Great.
So this is an open-ended question. Where are you from? Great. Interested in the other person.
Perfect. I walked into the room today and I spoke to. I'm sorry. I wish no name tags in your name tags. I know they're so far down.
Slow down.
So I said, "Where are you from?" And she says, "Muncie." And I'm like, wow. I very rarely meet someone from Muncie. That's not true in my line of business. I was born in Rockland County. I very rarely meet a lot of people. I really don't meet, and I get very excited because I was born in Rockland County. So, and I didn't live there all that long, but my sister lives in New City. It gives me a whole conversation. We had a whole conversation about Rockland County. So the where are you from conversation, the 6 degrees of Jewish separation is more like 2, right? I heard somebody talking, do you know who? Do you know that? Of course, everyone knows everyone. There is some Jewish connection, whether it's through a youth group, through somebody, relative, this one, everyone knows somebody. It's great questions.
So 16 questions later.
Yes, you made it.
Either, if I
Tell me who you are.
My name is Simi Green from Lakewood. Either I would ask how are you successful, if they're successful, or in that business, or I would completely go on a personal level, depending who it is. Either yes, and as you said before, I love that mascara. What are you wearing? Or that tie is great when you get it, or something like that, just to open that up.
Perfect. All right, so those are our arsenal of questions. We've got great questions. Gracie, what do you do?
I make miracles.
I make miracles! What kind of miracles do you make?
I'm a coach. I help people find their passion, find their power, and live through it.
Ah, fantastic. Great. Leora. Hi, Leora. What do you do?
I am an interior stylist, which means I go into a person's home if they feel they need a facelift somewhere but they don't want to park at certain things. I make that work and then I elevate it and bring everything together and do it on a budget.
Wow, on a budget. Great.
That's my passion.
Fantastic.
So you say here 3 to 5 words. It doesn't need to be.
So the question is, my rule of thumb is have 3 to 5 words. How many of you have said, oh, I've got to get that elevator speech down, I've got to get that 30-second elevator speech, right? We've all heard about the elevator speech. I'm like everybody's got their name tags. Miriam, you said something, not an elevator speech. What did you say?
Pitch.
A pitch, right? A speech is what?
Longer.
A speech is something that I've practiced over and over again and I'm giving to, 25 people. Your elevator speech should not be a speech. You had a pitch down perfect. Why? It was 3 to 5 sentences. It had something in there that caught it was like, ooh, my closet could totally use that, and it sparked something. It was exciting. It grabbed my attention, and I wanted to hear more.
Describe what she does also.
What?
Fully
described what she did.
And had some powerful words. I give them permission to let go.
I love that. I need you. Can you come to Delaware, please? My closets are a disgusting mess. Yeah.
So how do you do that? Like, we have multiple businesses. So how do you kind of come up with like a speech, or like not an elevator pitch, but like something like, what do you do? It's like 8 things. Like how do you kind of?
All right. So I'm glad. Thank you for saying this. This is my issue as well because I have 2 completely separate businesses. I have a company, the Hillards Group, where I have a group of people that are virtual assistants that do brand management, that do marketing and social media, all of that. I have this other company over here where I'm part of a team for My Jewish Coach, where we do consulting for nonprofit businesses all across the country. What do I do with that? Here's what I do. So last night, as I said, I was with this group of engineers, right? They're not going to so much need the My Jewish Coach part of my life, right? So everything I had a conversation with last night was about the Hillards Group. I wanted to make 3 to 5 connections with those people about, hey, you've got a small company. Does your business need graphic design? Does your business need social media? Do you have? They're an engineer company that was a small firm. Do you need some virtual assistants? Things like that, right? My second event was at the JCC with 500 lay leaders and other Jewish nonprofits, all of them. What did I talk about all night long? I said, I can't stay here all night. I can't stay late. I've got to be going. I've got to be in Newark, New Jersey tomorrow morning. I'm on a train at 7 a.m. because I'm talking to the JWE about networking and leadership, right? 2 separate companies. That's the best approach I've seen. They don't meld together, and unless they are businesses that sort of come together in some way, keep them separate and network different ways.
Find out what you're going to be doing.
Great. So I actually,
do and they don't.
My go-to, if you've got separate businesses and sort of separate lives, I ask questions before they get to me, right? So I ask a question, what do you do? I hear all about what they do, and I think to myself, as I'm listening, which businesses do I want to tell them about when they ask me, oh, what do you do? Right? So I try to ask leading, right, I ask leading questions. You know, unless there's some way that they come together and you want to make them, you know, it's hard. It's really too hard to get that good, clean speech, and it's overwhelming.
You just lose it. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I agree. Narrow it down, figure it out, have different pitches for different people.
So along the lines of what you're saying, one of the techniques, the social skills techniques, is hooking questions. So when you ask questions from the other person, think about the natural thing that people do is that they ask back whatever you asked.
Right.
So ask those kinds of questions that you want them to ask you.
Right, absolutely. Right. So if you ask, what do you do? I mean, the chances are that somebody is going to ask you back that question, right? So if you don't want to answer that question, don't ask it, right? So that's absolutely true.
I think that's people's natural inclination is that you ask what you really want to tell.
Of course, of course.
I mean, and I see in the social skills that you have to teach that, but most people that don't need that class are
Right, that's why. They're inclined, that's why it's a natural thing. People who need to learn it, but
Absolutely.
that's for that reason.
Okay, so take a second, write your 3 to 5 words that everyone, when you talk to, and pick, if you've got multiple businesses, pick one for today. Pick one for today that you think when you're talking to the women around this room, they need to know most about, okay? Because you're gonna get an opportunity to get up and meet each other on a more intimate basis. So I want you to have the 3 to 5 words in your head of what are those words that describe your business?
3 to 5 words per line, or
No, 3 to 5 words total.
Okay.
5 words to describe my business and 3 to 5 words, what would I say? Who are my brave, brave women? All right, take ya. I need one more. Yeah? Great. Yeah? Okay, come on up.
Without papers?
Sure, if you would like. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Come on up to our stage, right here. We are going to role play a few networking events, and we are going to give them feedback. Do they need to be closer to me so that they?
Yeah.
Oh, so come right into the middle. This is a little awkward and a little bit like forced, but we're gonna make this happen.
That's what's gonna
All right. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're gonna get to do that. No worries. No worries. We're gonna just give them an opportunity for us to give some feedback.
Should we start?
We should. So
I'm gonna pretend that I'm gonna meet her.
Okay, fantastic. Look, they've already looked. Go for it. I don't even need to be here. Go for it.
Hi, nice to meet you. Welcome to the event.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Hi, I'm Mary Gitzel.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Baltimore.
Yeah, from Baltimore. Where are you from?
Brooklyn.
Oh.
Local. So you traveled here this month?
We did. We left at 6 o'clock in the morning. We were the first ones here.
Okay. How did you happen?
Right business?
What kind of work do you do?
So I own Speedy Graphics. We do signs, printing, and graphic design.
Like for stores or?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was just telling a story about how I had a tattoo artist come in last week that wanted to put vehicle graphics on his car. And I pimped his ride. I took this black eye and I came up with all the creative ideas for this tattoo artist's vehicle.
On his vehicle?
It was a lot of fun.
So saying, you print it, do you print brochures? And
We print brochures, we do all that kind of regular stuff, and then this vehicle lettering, he wanted to put Ford on his car where the Ford should usually go, and I said, put ink, put dot, and he's like, oh, that's my name, that's so cool. I was like, whatever, just, you know. And we're so busy that I talked him into creating his graphics himself and installing it himself, and that we would just give him the work, because it would take a few weeks so I could get it back to him. He would lose his excitement, and because he is a creative person, I encouraged him to do it himself.
Wow.
That was really
And it's like I said, you made it easy enough for him to do it that way.
He's a tattoo artist. It was like, you know, he got excited about the idea. It wasn't that I was turning him away because it wasn't taking so long. He was like, that's great.
So he felt sort of like independent, but he could do it himself.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. Do you mind standing up there for 1 second? Who would like to give him some feedback? Are you open to feedback? I should ask.
I am.
Okay, great. Who would like to give him some feedback?
I thought it was great that you open-ended and you were able to give it something interesting. The story was very interesting. Can I do critique?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Feedback. We're getting both good and bad feedback.
So I mean, maybe you were following, but like when I like to hear a story, I got the concept, but like totally didn't get the details of the purpose of why you were sharing that story and like what the goal of that was. And that was like from what I heard from, observing. And then I don't want to stereotype, but maybe New York, so it was like your responses were very like, abrupt, yeah. Did you saw that?
But I think she was on the stand, like she wanted to get
Right.
to her point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also my style of speaking, but I have to admit.
But I'm a New Yorker also, so I was like, she got the story.
She's on the F train, so like, I feel like she's on Express, and like, let's get to the next one. I get that.
Yeah.
I love that there was an interesting story.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's fun. That made it, networking events can sometimes be boring because it's like, oh, I'm going to promote myself, and I'm going to promote myself, and I'm going to promote myself. So it was fun hearing the story, and you were promoting yourself through the story.
So everyone's going to get an opportunity. I just want to make sure that we all have some opportunity. But I want you to know that every conversation, you should know that every conversation is not going to be a half hour long, and every conversation may only be a few minutes. So if you get the opportunity to say something about yourself, give that person an opportunity to say something about them, because you never know when that conversation is going to end. Right? So that way, when you go to network with her later on, you know something about her as well. So, you figure out you're going to end up exchanging business cards, whatever, or you go back and write notes. You know very little about her to be able to go back to her. She can go to you and have a whole conversation. Oh, I have this great person who's looking to pimp their ride, and actually and she can network with you, but you can't network that with her.
I just want to raise a point that when we were telling your tattoo artist story, it was interesting, but I heard something that could have been flipped to a positive, because you did empower him as an artist to do it himself, but you said, I heard, we're too busy. We're too busy to
Posting art. I had
you're too busy, then how are you going to be interested in me?
Right,
So
great
busy.
point.
So
Very good
you
point.
could empower, share the empowerment, because that's what I like to do. When I'm finished with somebody's house, that they love it. They're so excited that their kitchen and their pantry is normal and clean, and they've got a piece of tranquility that they go out to their bath and beyond, and they go and do things that they've never done before. So that tells me that you're not threatened by competition, and it could open up something for her. Does she do any empowering in her business? Because if this is about giving back and giving to others and being genuine, I think that could go into a whole other...
That's a really great point.
Absolutely.
And I think also that somebody said, that they're not going to do, there's no success in this, but no professional multi-million-dollar baseball player is got 100% batting average. And if we have that expectation of ourselves, then you're just going to see the failure. You've got to say that you're at bat and you're going to hit some balls and you're not going to. And even the ones that go on the field, you're learning something from that.
Absolutely.
Can you also show us how to end the conversation? Like, let's say you happens to have a tattoo fetish, and she is like, on this conversation. Right. And they can't move on. They haven't met anyone else.
All right, so ending the conversation, that is always very hard. There's oftentimes some really good excuse of like, it was a great story. Thank you so much. Can I have your business card? I'd love to follow up with you. Get that. That's how you sort of end the conversation. You move towards ending words like, oh, it was so great meeting you. Who else do you know around here? Who else do you think I should meet in this room? Another great ending conversation, because they say, oh, you should meet me. Thank you so much. I'm going to go. Would you mind introducing me to that person? Done. Separated. They either join the conversation, and I'm now a three-way, and I've got another person in the conversation. Then eventually they're gonna move off. Those are my two best tips of how to do that. It is difficult, especially when you've got someone who just wants to talk.
I just introduced to someone else, and then what was the second one?
The asking for the business card, so it sort of just ends that conversation there. Great. Let's give them a hand. Do we have two more brave people that would like to try? Okay, great.
I'll do
All
it.
right,
I'll do it.
we've got these two. Let's
No,
invite
you
you
go.
up.
Sure? Yeah, please.
No, good. Okay, so realize now that you've seen it happen, we're only gonna let you go on for a few minutes, so make sure you, I love it.
Okay, so I'll meet you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Chava from Baltimore. What's your name? Yochava from Cleveland.
I was in Cleveland once for a wedding.
Oh, really?
I think it could have been Cleveland or Cincinnati, I don't know.
I know. I think it's just like once you get to Ohio, it's like one
It
small
was
state.
Beechwood, which is,
Yeah, Cleveland.
okay, cool. It was Japanese?
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
So what do you do?
Roofing company.
Wow, so you do industrial,
No,
residential?
we do residential roofing. And no, I do not go on roofs. People look at me, I'm like, no, I'm in the office.
So you have workers.
Yes. No, I had a customer once say to me, so how many shingles are on the roof and are you going to be on there nailing them? And I looked, and I'm on the phone, so it's like, I'm like, you wonder how many shingles are going to be, like how many nails are going to be in each shingle? And I'm like, you know I don't go on the roof. She's like, you don't, then who does? I'm like, really? That was the response. No, I'm not. And I'm sitting at the office on the phone with you. Like, do you really think I'm going to go on your roof like tomorrow? Like, it was a really weird conversation. And
Well, it just goes to show
I had to
people
get back
don't
to
know.
let him know how many nails were going to be per shingle because this was a very important thing to this person. I was like, trust me, we know how to install roofs. You know?
So how does that work now, like in the winter? And, you know, how does that
So
work
we
for your
actually
business?
stay busy throughout the entire year. There's ups and downs, like February is the slowest month. What about you? What do you do?
I work in education. Basically, I get people connected to all their educational needs. My full-time job is I work for public school.
I've got a couple of kids.
They're in school. Okay. How's it going for them?
It's going great for them. For me, I'm running in circles all day.
Because we actually still have an online component where we do it nationally, where students could do extra help, you know, if they're gifted, they want to go on, or students have to do credit recovery.
Are you like in elementary, middle, high school, or?
K-12.
Oh, so like really all of it.
So
What's the name of it again?
the name of the school that's based in Cleveland is Virtual Schoolhouse, but we also do some other work through other companies.
Virtual Schoolhouse is your company, or that's the
It's the name
actual
of the
charter
school.
school?
That's the name of the school, yeah.
Called Virtual Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
But there's kids that actually sit there in the
Yeah, so
classroom?
it's virtual, and there's a schoolhouse. We have a building, we have about 250 kids that come every day, and then we also have about another 100, more than 100 kids that are
Homeschoolers?
homeschooled, that are special needs, primarily special needs. So we have students that are serviced, you know, throughout the city and other areas, and so I know we have about 400 students in the school.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Wait, don't leave the stage. Don't leave the stage. You volunteered now, you get to get some feedback. Feedback. What would we like to tell them? Eve?
I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Yocheved.
Yocheved. So it sounds like it's very interesting what you're doing, but I'm curious to know if what you're doing, is that all that you're doing, or is it something that can be replicated? Like, is it something that she then might be able to identify or help you out with, or is it just like, it's something that you do in?
So that's also one of the things for me when I network, is to know where the person is from, because what I do as the school is based in Ohio, so I can only do services for students in Ohio, but because I do also work for educational, consulting, so I do that through other companies. And that's why I said to her, what are your students' needs? And I threw in our online program. Because it's, I guess diverse, on what we can offer. And I want to find a way that I could, be of service to her.
Right. Do you have a follow-up? I feel as if there was a follow-up question.
No, so can I take Virtual Schoolhouse and put it in another state? Technically, yes. But no, not tomorrow.
I guess, is it a resource that a parent can use as just a parent and a child? Is it something that's through the school system only? Like the
yes.
Tree of Knowledge?
Yeah, if they're living in Ohio, yes.
No. I'm in Baltimore.
Right.
My son's in GT actually for math. Do I then say, if you want to do some extra enrichment, you can log on to
that's
this website, Tree of Knowledge, and do some
exactly. Yeah, so that's why I went to that direction. Exactly. Yes. Anyone in the world.
Yeah, like it sounds like you do a ton of stuff. So how do you get all the stuff that you do into that?
So that's why that's why I like to start the conversation, so I can hear where that person. I mean, I would like to advice from you, but that's why I want to hear where she's at. That's why I asked her if she has kids in school, and then I try to sell the piece.
It's so interesting. I find that a lot of times that that when we're pitching somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean we're pitching to that person. That person could know somebody that knows somebody, or might have, and like it just opens up a whole nother world. So it's not necessarily that we're talking to that one person specifically. So how do we open it up? Like a lot of times I'm like, oh, I totally know somebody that you need to talk to that you can totally help out with that. So it sounds like that you just deal with special needs kids. Is that all that you deal with the special needs
That's what it
kids?
sounded like?
No, they didn't focus on it.
It
but
sounded
there's a
like her
primary focus
virtual
on
was
that.
a lot for the special needs and her schoolhouse was for the mainstream. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, basically, and that's why I try to stick in the beginning there, all your educational needs.
I just think it's too short of a time to get everything together.
I think the same problem that I have is that you're focusing on two businesses, and when you're talking to somebody who's from out of state, it's like, I don't care about your school or Cleveland. But like, it's a good background to show that you know how to do it. But like, kind of like, more just leave it as a background instead of a forefront, and spend more time on that online stuff that you do that can help anybody.
Yeah, but I think that it's kind of funny because I feel like I have similar feedback that you had to me. I just have one more sentence. So just that by saying that you had this full-time job also, it made it sound like you had too much on your plate to really be there for her. Was it you that said that to me?
Yeah.
So I loved when you asked how are they doing at school.
Yeah.
Because a
Yeah,
person
that's
can
a great
respond
question.
however they want. They can be private about that. They can have an opportunity to boast about their children. They can have an opportunity to realize that I can come back to you later. It can be a seed planter, or it could be a seed planter for, her friends that are saying, my child really is struggling, or my child really isn't getting all that they need, and they can contact you. I thought it was a brilliant leading question.
Because if I would have had more time, the next thing would be like, I know Baltimore has a lot of homeschooling kids, and then I would have went into that whole conversation piece.
Yeah, so we recognize that this is a very shortened version of it.
That's my takeaway, is to find
I think the takeaway from it is that oftentimes these are often short conversations, but I think you need to think about how it is that you want to frame what you do. Your best opening was when she said she has kids. So the follow-up questions should have been about her kids and how they're doing in school, and hammering that point to then know which direction you wanted to take what you were telling more about the business. So it may be, like me, you may need to ask more leading questions at the beginning before you go into the what do you do. So that, just knowing that also.
I just want to say, if the person didn't have children, or they had children after college or whatever, I think the name of your business is brilliant, because it's virtual schoolhouse. Right. So because you've got a two-prong approach, and you're doing something in Cleveland, but you're also doing something that can benefit people out of state, your 2-second intro should just be the virtual schoolhouse thing, so we get the concept that you can either do it in Cleveland and you can do it online.
So that's what I was thinking, that your initial approach needs to be, so for people in my home state, we do this, but since you're from Baltimore, and I get to speak to so many people from all over, my services for those people can be A, B, and C.
Exactly.
And right, I found that her later questions were much more powerful than the original
Yeah, there was much more
answers.
passion at the end of.
Right, so she had to have that passion in the beginning, because otherwise it was fantastic. Whatever I heard at the end was like, that's interesting.
I loved your, tell me your Chava. I loved your about, what you do about the roof, and that we keep ourselves busy through the winter. It shows that you've got a company that's thriving, that people want to know and get to know more about. So those were good.
And the humor,
Humor was perfect. Inserting humor always is great.
Reaction.
So with the conversation, that there was enough information, but not too much information. Like with the initial conversation, you don't really need to know all the details of everything. You want to know just the basic of what you do.
Right. But you get stuck because you have so much that you do.
Right, so what would be, I guess, a good opener? So if I want to ask her what she does, but I want to show interest and get her to
How I
talk.
help people in different states, how I can be of service to people in different
But how do I open it to her? I don't want to start talking about myself. So how do I get her to start talking?
What you did, you asked her.
Yeah, you asked about her. You asked about her kid. You know that she's not in Cleveland any longer, right? So scratch out the schoolhouse part. You then found out she's got kids. Let me tell you about what the virtual. That's what I'm going to be more interested in. You failed to ask her how old are her kids. That will give you a better idea of if they're in college, then you know what, this isn't.
But that's not true, because we deal with, I don't ask that because it's.
So you got everything.
Yeah.
Right,
We
okay.
do college prep, we do.
The conversation.
Yeah, right. All right, great job, thank you. I know how difficult. There's one piece of this that in this age, we all have to be experts in also, right? Social media is everywhere. How many of you use social media? How many of you are not using social media? Okay. So, let's talk about social media for networking. What are your tools?
Facebook.
Instagram, depending on what your business is. You should be on Instagram all the time. You should be Instagramming every piece that you do. Fantastic. Great.
LinkedIn. A blog.
Blogging. Okay. Great. Let's talk about a couple of those things.
Sorry.
Best practices for networking on social media.
You have to answer immediately. You cannot wait.
You have to be responsive, right? We have to be, besides responsive, you have to be reciprocal, right?
You can't jump in the middle of a conversation. You have to feel your way around first. You have to understand what's going on. Like a forum, like you can't just jump in.
In a forum, yes, but if somebody, let's say you have a Facebook page or you have an Instagram page, you have to be responsive right away because people want instant access to your things and they want instant answers. So if you're not responsive, then they'll go on to another person or they'll go to
somebody
on your own.
Right, if you're in a forum, like any of those Facebook groups, you can definitely take a back seat and wait. A lot of times people will tag me in a post.
Great.
And they'll be like, somebody will be like, hey, I need a gift for a teacher, where can I get it, right? And then they'll tag me. And then you could see a little bit what's going on and like you'll get like 5 other people who will respond.
How do you deal with that? Like, we get tagged, like, there'll be like a...
Right, but it's not meant to be an advertisement, so you don't know
and
what
somebody
you
will
should say
tag and be like,
something.
like, looking for a roofer, and they'll be like, oh, call Parker Tube, and then somebody will go, call so-and-so.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So
like, I'll see it, like, I won't always see the tags, whether, you're not, like, logged into Facebook, but sometimes I'll see it, they won't, like, they tag Parker Tube, I'm not logged into that, necessarily logged into my own Facebook, and somebody will call Chava Elgamil's, company, whatever, her husband's company, whatever. Do you say something? Because there's
absolutely
all other people there.
Absolutely. You jump into that conversation.
Without sounding like, egotistical or something.
There's no
You want to sell your business.
Right, there's no ego to jump in.
It can be as egotistical as you want.
Yes.
Nobody should.
Hold on.
You're supposed to use that as advertising? I never.
Someone it's like a referral. What would you do if someone called you and said,
I was referred to you.
Yeah, I was referred to you. This is the
about,
same
like,
thing.
something on a wall where they're posting like 5 different companies and you're just one of them. How do you like?
They'll love you for reaching out. They'll know you're reliable.
Yeah.
They'll know you're listening.
Call me,
They'll
leave
know
your
you're
telephone
listening.
Private message me your number. I'd love to talk to you. Or where can I?
This number.
Great. Yes, whatever. But try to get that.
I'm not the one who's going to answer the phone then.
It doesn't matter. This is your business.
Right. Ask
Right.
the
Ask right. All of that.
A big problem is people don't leave their contact information. Like people don't leave telephone numbers and stuff. Like leave your telephone number. Don't make it easy for people to call.
Yeah, leave your information because someone's not going to leave their information. Put your information, tag it to your website, whatever it is. Then try to find obviously the person.
They're tagging to our Facebook page.
Right, obviously the person knows you somewhere along the line. See if you can get some information and directly reach out to them. Any of that. Yeah. Any follow-up
I have an
information?
interesting question.
Sure.
I'm not on social media right now, but I'm considering doing that.
Okay.
My question is, if my business doesn't really need it because I really can't even accept new clients, do I need to be on social media anyway?
Yes.
What do you do again? I'm sorry.
Custom cabinetry, kitchens and baths.
Yes.
You should not be on
Wait a
Facebook.
second.
You should be on Instagram.
So why do you need to be? You need to be because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you are constantly, right? What is the #1 business, marketing and business?
If I get out and I get called and I
If people want to look at you for referral, the first thing I do is go online and Google them.
Right, referrals.
You don't
You
have
want
to
to be
see
setting the
page,
seeds
then
of 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Like a bad, I sometimes read other people's, like how you do it.
It's the good and bad.
One second, say I have somebody who's looking to do a kitchen, but they don't have the funds to do a whole thing. I could say to you, what do you have basic stock that you want to get rid of or clear out.
Right.
If you
Right,
post
well,
a
yeah,
picture
so-
of it,
right,
then I
that's-
can
that's
put two and
good.
two together and
There are lots of ways for you to use social media that will, it is, you have to be dedicated
What
to
kind of
doing.
people do I use for that? Do
You
I
don't
hire,
need to
do
be
I
on
hire
every
a company?
You don't need to be on every social media. Remember, this is about networking. This might be about networking, and each person you need to decide how it is. So for Abby, she's using it to market her
Not only that,
products.
it
I would love
legitimizes,
to
one
just-
second, it legitimizes your
I would just love
to
to
the
for
outside
myself
world.
to show my work. I would love to show my work.
Social media, this is like a really important key. Social media legitimizes your company to everyone around you. So we live in like most people, okay, it happens to be that I have received a tremendous amount of Hasidish customers through Instagram. They find me and they come to my store and they paint. But what I'm
My
saying,
funny part is most of my customers are not Hasidish. I do most of my
but we
business.
live in a world where social media to the normal person is huge.
You
And
do it
it-
yourself. You hire a company. Or,
Okay,
I don't even know where to go with it.
So the thing is that social media is your brand, and you are the face of your brand.
So I am cognizant that I opened up a can of worms, which is not, it's a great can of worms, and which I think needs to be a continued conversation. And I'd be happy to come back for another conversation. See my plug, my networking. Because this is what I do on my other side. This is my other company that I do social media, and I do social media for other companies. But what I want to leave you with this statement is that it is extremely important that you do whatever it is that you need to do networking, be online, whether it's through something that you can do through a blog or commenting, but getting that networking, there is no longer just face-to-face networking any longer. You reach out, you can reach out and like them on their page, like their business page, reach out to them on LinkedIn, introduce yourself. Go see if you are going to meet somebody, see if, do a little online digging, see how many people they know on LinkedIn, say, that's how you can see. You can see your first, your second, you can see if you're a third person down the road. Who do you know in common? Great conversation starters. There are people that I want to know in my business. I check out on LinkedIn. I see who their friends are, and if I know somebody else, I ask for that introduction. Hey, John, can you introduce me to Craig, because I see that you guys know each other on LinkedIn and I see that you guys have a lot of similar things going on. I reach out to that person to make that introduction, right? Very easy. Social media should be a complement to your face-to-face networking. So all of it goes hand in hand. There's a whole other conversation of how to use social media for your business. That's not the conversation today. It's about how to use it to network and advance your business in that way. All right? Does that help a little bit? There's a whole other conversation, and I'm happy to follow up with that conversation. You've got my email at the top here. If you've got specific questions about your business, I'm happy to be there to help.
What's your other business that you mentioned?
The Hillards Group.
Can you spell that?
I can. HILARTZ Group.
mean?
So it is, thank you for asking, and it's a great question. See, it's a great leading question. My spouse's last name starts with HIL, and mine is the ARTZ, and that's the Hillards Group, because that's how we started Just Us.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
You mentioned about social networking.
Sure.
You said reciprocity. When you're reciprocal, does that mean that any random person that likes a post, I post a new piece, we just got this in, here's a coupon for it, and random people around the world are liking it, do you comment on that? Do you post right on their page?
So here's my rule of thumb. Someone just liking it, I don't often do anything. If somebody's constantly liking my stuff, you'll see that there are, your, what are they called? Your, not so much followers, you're the people that are consistently liking something that over and over again. I'll reach out to them and say thank you for, I see that you always are liking our posts. Thank you. What's the connect? How do you connect with my business? What is there a piece of jewelry that you have that you really like that you're looking for more? Is there more stuff what else are you looking for on social media? My other part is that if I write blogs, for somebody to share a blog of mine, it's a big deal. It helps it to go viral. It helps it to give more viewership. I thank them. I will reach out to them and say thank you. Even if it's on social media, just to go onto their page and say, thank you so much for sharing my blog. I really appreciate it. Any of those things. Those things, that's the reciprocal. Then when they post a blog, or if that's something that they do, I tend to share it also. Just keeps going and going and going. It's good feelings, all of that.
If
That's
somebody just
reciprocal.
likes, if somebody just likes the piece that I posted, is it too forward to send them a coupon code and say, well,
Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic.
Everyone loves coupons.
Great, that's fantastic.
It's not like too forward, like as soon as you get a like, you just send them some.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can actually set up. Lead pages on your Facebook page so that if they like you, that the coupon actually goes to them. All right. So the last page that you have is all about the JWE. So thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I wish you a ton of success in networking and taking your business to the next level.